imagine a world where you leave that appointment, you take out your phone, and you just speak to it. And you just say, I just finished meeting with Amy. She's looking for a home in Lincoln Park. Here's the criteria for that property. Can you pull all the listings that fit that criteria, put them in a collection, create the collection, draft it, email it to me, because I want to look at it first to make sure it's good to go, write an intro email, and have it in my inbox. And then you walk into your next appointment. And then we get out of that second appointment, you go to your email, there's a full search that's been created. The criteria is there. Every property that fits that criteria is in there. It's created in a collection. It's beautiful. It's ready to go. You read the email, make a change or two, and boom, you just send it out. Like that's
incredible.
That's the power of AI.
On this episode of Core Values, my guest is Rory Golod, whose career trajectory over the last decade has been nothing short of extraordinary. After working for a couple of startups and the Bloomberg Media Company in New York, Rory joined another startup in 2014, a 2-year-old real estate company called Compass. He didn't know it at the time, but he was climbing on for the ride of his life. Today, he's president of growth and platform, leading the massive rollout of the home platform tech system across Compass International Holdings' 9-brand portfolio. In this episode, Rory and I talk about his career journey, the home platform tech rollout, the mindset and systems that have helped him scale his role, and more. Stick around for Rapid Fire to learn about Rory's rock roots and the kids' TV show he watches when no one is looking. Let's dive in. All right, Rory, thank you so much for joining me on Core Values. I see you're in New York City.
I am. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about you and kind of where you started, where you grew up. You're from Long Island. I actually have a brother and a sister-in-law that live out in Long Island.
Oh, what
They're in
part?
Huntington.
No way. That's where I grew up.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to talk about that offline. Yes, my brother and his wife and their 2 kids. But so you grew up in Long Island. You went to college at the University of Richmond in Virginia. Right. And then I know once you got out of school, you were definitely in the startup world. And somehow you made your way to another startup called Compass. How did you get there? Tell us a little bit about, your journey to Compass.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny because I'm thinking about like how long ago that was because it's getting up there in terms of years. So it's actually a really interesting story. I was working at an e-commerce startup and the company was doing well. We had raised a lot of money from American Express and a number of really well-known investors. But there was just something missing in my day-to-day. I couldn't really put my finger on what it was, but I got a call from a recruiter who said, hey, I am doing a search for a company called Urban Compass, and I think it'd be really interesting. You should talk to them. And I at first was like, I'm good. I'm not really looking for anything. I'm happy where I am, but I got a sort of a voice in the back of my head that said, you should just look at this. And so I actually went online and I looked at the founding team, Robert, Ori, and Rob Lehman, and others who were at Gordon, and I was incredibly impressed with the team. And they had just brought Leonard to the company. And so I actually knew who Leonard Steinberg was just from living in New York. He was a known person. He was a known entity. And so I said, why not? I'll have a conversation with them. So I go and have a conversation, and I meet with Robert and the team, and things progress very quickly. And again, we were a startup, so I think my first interview with Robert was about 10 minutes long. And he was probably 2 minutes late for it. So, and it was one of those where you have the meeting, they're like, great, we'll see you Monday. So it all moved very fast. But the funny part about this was right before I accepted the offer, I went into my email to try to find the contact information for the person I was talking to, the recruiter. And I was searching for something. And I come across an email from Robert to me about 9 months prior. And I was like, wait, this is weird. And I remembered that a good friend of mine introduced me and Robert over email almost a year prior.
Really?
And he was in the midst of the company. I think they had just gone sort of like out to the market as Urban Compass. I was really busy. I was not looking for anything. I was new at the company I was at. I think Robert was really busy. So we both got connected by a mutual friend, and we sort of said, hey, yeah, we'd love to connect. Robert was like, let's catch up in a couple of weeks once we've got, everything ready to go. And I said, yeah, sure, that sounds fine. Shout out to Jamie Sholem, our close mutual friend. So we did one of those email intros, people make those, but you never really sort of take it anywhere. And now I'm sitting there looking at that. I'm like, okay, this is a sign. And so immediately I called Jamie and I said, hey, I've reconnected with Robert Refkin and Urban Compass. And obviously he had incredible things to say about them. And so that was November of 2014.
Wow.
So we're coming up on 12 years.
Yeah, that's amazing. Isn't that funny how, things show up in your universe all of a sudden, and it's kind of that sign that's like, okay, this was meant to be. Now I know that this is a yes and to move forward,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
You've had a number of different roles, especially in an entrepreneurial spirit. You kind of do a lot of different things. It doesn't even matter what your title is half the time, right? I feel like you are kind of like that. But tell us what your role is now, because it's pretty exciting. It's really evolving around the tech and making sure that we roll this home platform out across a pretty large group of agent base, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so it is. We're hundreds of thousands of people, right? So, as you said, I've had a lot of roles at the company. I launched in the early days. I launched Compass in markets around the United States. So I'd go to a city for 2-3 months, basically move there and launch the first versions of the business there, get the office open, recruit the founding agents, hire the first staff members. Then I spent a couple of years as Robert's chief of staff, which we should do a separate.
An entire podcast on that.
Oh my God, it really was. I tell you, it was the most incredible, definitely professional, and probably the top 2-3 personal experience of my life. I mean, because it wasn't just the role; it was also the day, the company at that time. In those days, we were in kind of this hyper growth mode. So to be in that role as his chief of staff while the business was rapidly expanding, that was a very special moment. I learned more from that than I could ever articulate. Then I had a number of roles running different parts of the business and running different parts of the regions. And then, we kind of come to the end of last year where Netta and I were both running the Compass brokerage, and then I was running growth and communication. She was running central operations. And so together we were leading kind of the core business of Compass. And then the merger with Anywhere comes together. And so everything kind of reshuffled. And so this year, I'm focused on a couple things. One, which is, as you described, rolling out the platform to all of our owned and operated brands this year and then our affiliates next year. The second is growth. So how do we help not just the business grow, right, which is our agents, bringing great agents into the company, bringing small brokerages into the business that are the right fit, but also how do we help our agents grow their business? And then I still oversee communications, and there's like a fourth bucket, which is also just all the miscellaneous stuff. And I kind of have my hands on a lot of different things, mostly just kind of helping push the company along, particularly now as we integrate and become, this new company. On the platform rollout, that's where I spend the majority of my time. And it's exciting because I like big challenges. I like things that require multiple teams, multiple stakeholders. I enjoy bringing everyone together, getting everyone aligned around a common goal, and then kind of whittling away at that goal, especially when it's big things like this. How do you roll out a technology platform to 60,000 people in 5 months? You can't just do one thing and complete it. You have to kind of like chip away at it. And it's exciting once you get that machine going. I like getting the machine going. And once it's going, just kind of stepping back and watching. It's a special sense of accomplishment. So that's what I'm focused on now. And it's been hard work in a great way. This fall, I'm going to be traveling to dozens of markets around the country because for me, it's a role where myself and my team, and I have an incredible team around me helping me do this. You really have to go out there. You have to get in front of people. You have to be you have to go to offices, meet agents where they are, and actually help answer a very basic question for them. How can you help me grow my business? That's it. There's nothing else. And if you have something that can help me do that, show me how to use it and implement it. And so that's really the crux of this, is rolling out the home platform, is this amazing tool that can help agents grow their business. But as you know, if you just take technology and you just throw it out there, no one's actually going to use it. And so you need to have a really thoughtful approach to how you roll it out, how you onboard people, how you make it accessible, how you make it easy. I'm the first one to admit, I don't like learning how to use new technology. Right? Like, none of us, we all want to be sort of—
Who does, right? Exactly. I mean, let's face it, we're forced to do it, but who does?
Yeah, and sort of, and in a world of AI, I think now we don't even want to take the time to learn. We just kind of go into an LLM and say, all right, what do I have to do?
Totally.
So it's actually been a really exciting thing, and so I'm enjoying a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty broad scale initiative, and I know you are well underway. I think this summer you've been rolling out to the former Anywhere brands, and I know you know about us. We, the At Properties company-owned agents, we are getting ready to start
Very
our own
soon.
training this fall. Yes,
Very
and
soon.
ours will be a little bit different, right? Because we are coming from sort of a true end-to-end platform that we've had for over a decade, and really kind of taking our agents and saying, we're going to move you to a new version, kind of an iteration of another end-to-end platform. So I know some of our agents are a little bit nervous about the transition, but what kind of learning curve do you think, our agents are going to have? Or, any words of advice as we're getting ready to do this in the upcoming weeks?
I actually think that the agents at At Properties are in a really great spot because of what you just said. The fact that At Properties had an incredible end-to-end technology platform that was built very much around the same sort of fundamental concepts as what we had built at Compass, which was working backwards from agents, right? What do agents want? What do they need? And building alongside them. Having come from that, I think it provides a lot of advantages. I mean, one, this concept of a platform is something that's embedded in your thinking. Obviously, there's amazing staff at Properties that know how to teach agents how to use technology and how to effectively coach around it. And so I actually think a lot of the things that can sometimes be more of a hurdle are not going to be as much of one when it comes to the rollout of the platform. Now, in terms of the learning curve, what I always share is there's a different group of agents kind of at every step of the journey. So whenever I'm speaking in front of groups and I'm talking about the platform, I always say, okay, raise your hand if you're really excited about technology. And a few hands go up. And then I said, okay, raise your hand if you're sort of in the middle. It's important and it's helpful, but you're not really excited about it. You're kind of lukewarm, and some other hands go up. And then I say, all right, raise your hand if you're terrified, you don't like technology, and in fact, struggle to turn on your computer.
Tons of hands go up.
Yeah, so a number of hands go up, and then there's a bunch that don't want to raise their hand and admit they're in that crowd, and then I raise my hand and I say, well, sometimes I'm in that crowd, and then more come up. And what I say to them is, look, no matter which one of those groups you're in, I promise you that if you follow the process and that we've laid out and work alongside your local team, that a month from now, all of you will raise your hand to this, which I say, do you find that this platform is helping you grow your business and it's improving the way you work? And all of you will say that, regardless of how tech savvy you are, how much you like technology. And what that's sort of steeped in is, one, I always tell agents, think about this in really small bite-sized pieces. If you're the kind of person who thinks that the way you learn this is you have to take 3 days and just stop doing everything and sort of almost like you would cram for an exam, that's not going to work, right? But if you take 20 minutes a day for 3 weeks and you spend time in person with an employee in the company who knows how the tools work and they can show you, 20 minutes a day in 3 or 4 weeks, you'll be an expert, right? Yeah. And that's so much more digestible, and it removes a lot of that fear. Because think about it, right now you're running your business. Right? It's not as though, oh my God, I have to learn everything, because if not, what am I going to do tomorrow? You're running your business. I'd argue that the home platform will make it so that you run it a lot more efficiently, but you're going to be able to get through the next couple of weeks. So there's no need to stress yourself out. Start with really bite-sized pieces. That's number one. Number two, we've built these curriculums, and obviously, we've worked really hard with all of the At Properties team on how do we build a curriculum that makes sense for each type of agent. There's different markets, nuances in markets, but these curriculums are really meant to say, where should I start? Right? If you were to buy an iPhone, the first things you would do are actually very purposeful. The reason why when you turn it on, there's a welcome screen and it asks you to set up your Wi-Fi and choose your language.
Yep.
And put in that basic information because they know we need to get these basics done first. You don't immediately jump to downloading Uber and start sending voice notes to people and syncing your calendar. You start with those basic things, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing here. What are those basic things? It's search, collections, how to use the mobile app, starting there, and then you start to progress towards some of the listing tools to win more listings. My favorite, which is kind of like phase 3, I like to think of it, are the tools you bring into the listing presentation with. Right? Imagine going into the living room and pulling out an iPad and meeting with a seller and saying, let me show you 3 things that I can do to help sell your home as fast as possible for the most amount of money with the least amount of hassle. And then you physically show them the tools that you're going to use. And some of those tools they actually use with you and engage with you. That's kind of like the level I want people to dream about getting, but you got to build the blocks to get there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited because I do think we have a pretty sophisticated group of agents, to your point, because we've had our platform. I think some of it is going to be, kind of going from, a house you used to be in and you just moved into a new house. So like the light switch might be in a different spot or, the bathroom might be in a different location. So I think there's going to be a little bit of that acclimating, but I think overall there's a lot of excitement. And, I think to your point, there is also I still need my business to be running. So I know on our end, we've been really planning on and practicing from the employee side to make sure that we've got some really great support for a lot of our agents. One of the things we've talked a lot about, and I think one of the most exciting aspects of the home platform are the AI capabilities. In fact, some of the training that we are going to be doing and the ways in which we're going to be guiding our agents is going to have them engage the AI agent to help them with learning the home platform, because you can do that now. But I'd love if you have any thoughts on, the AI features, but also maybe some success stories that you can share that you've heard from agents who've really leaned into home platform and using the AI to help their business.
So we actually call the AI, sort of tools within the system, the AI assistant. And we did that for a very specific reason. We wanted it to be something where when people saw it, they immediately knew how to think about it. Because the concept of AI means a lot of different things to different people, right? So think about an assistant. What does a great assistant do? Whether you have an assistant now or you wish you had one, everyone can kind of envision how a great assistant can help you. And we want agents to think of the AI in the same way. It's no different than having a great assistant or having 10 assistants, right? Because of the scalability of it. So imagine you're at an appointment with a client and you're running from that appointment to another. And the nature of our business is that we're actually not sitting down at a desk quite often, right? We're constantly on the move. It's very
on the road,
on the road, on the go business. What you would do is you'd probably pick up your phone and call your assistant and say, all right, I just finished meeting with Amy. She's looking to buy. Here's her criteria. Can we pull some properties, send them to her, schedule this, like do all these things, right? But without an assistant, it's really hard to do. And you have to go sit in front of your computer and do it. Or if you have an assistant, they have to spend all their time doing that. Imagine a world where you leave that appointment, you take out your phone, and you just speak to it. And you just say, I just finished meeting with Amy. She's looking for a home in Lincoln Park. Here's the criteria for that property. Can you pull all the listings that fit that criteria, put them in a collection, create the collection, draft it, email it to me because I want to look at it first to make sure it's good to go, write an intro email, then have it in my inbox. And then you walk into your next appointment. And then we get out of that second appointment, you go to your email, there's a full search that's been created. The criteria is there. Every property that fits that criteria is in there. It's created in a collection. It's beautiful. It's ready to go. You read the email, make a change or two, and boom, you just send it out. Like that's
incredible.
That's the power of AI. And so there's so many use cases like this. One of my favorites is we have something in the system called likely to sell recommendations, which is an algorithm that goes through your contacts and basically scores them and gives them a high, medium, or low likelihood of selling over the next 12 months, right? Historically, we've seen these recommendations convert at about an 8% rate, which is really high, right? For every 100,
that's pretty good.
Around 8 are turning into clients. I like to think of them as free seller leads because they're your contacts of people who might have a higher propensity to sell versus someone else. in the past, I had to go through the recommendations, figure out which ones are, a high or a medium or low, and email them or call them. Now what people are doing is saying, hey, AI assistant, pull all my high recommendations that are high score, email all them individually, put something custom in each email. I want to review them quick. Boom, 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 send it. And what's happening is people then responding and saying, hey, I'd love to connect, love to. So there are so many things that you can use it for to take time away from stuff that was administrative and non-core to now making it something easy to use. And ultimately, my sort of big take on AI assistant and AI within our business, yes, there are going to be massive productivity gains. I'm excited for them. I can see it. But I think the biggest thing is going to be it's going to flatten the learning curve. So right now, what we're talking about is we have to create a really specific structure on how to teach agents how to use technology to do it effectively. And even then, it can still be a little intimidating sometimes. Imagine a world, though, where you don't need to learn how to use any tools. All you need to do is go into the home platform
and tell it what you want.
Bingo.
I mean, that's all. You just have to know what you want, right?
Hey, I just met with Amy. She's not looking to sell now, but she said check back with her in a few months once her kids start school and she figures out her next step. Hey, can you put in my CRM for me to follow up with her, set a reminder? Oh, and also, can you draft an email just following up with our appointment to talk about some of the things that's going on in the market? Everything I just described, you don't need to know how the CRM works. You don't need to know how to go in and set up a reminder. You don't need to go in and do all this different stuff. Just ask the system. And every agent knows the outcome they want. So I see a world where a year from now, every agent is taking full advantage of these tools. Think about how amazing that would be.
Well, and what I also am curious about, and I think somebody was sharing with me is, your AI assistant starts getting to know how you like to work or some of the things that, you request, so that there's a point in which your assistant is not necessarily smarter than you, but definitely will say, hey, Rory, I noticed that you wanted to go ahead and take a look and reach out to these 5 people. Would you also like me to send a custom email, send it to you to review, make sure that a gift is ordered, right? All the things, they start following your habits and your style, so that not only are they a great assistant that's ready to do what you want, they're starting to prompt you as well as an agent. Is that true? I hear the more you give it, the greater it becomes in working for you.
That's absolutely true. I mean, look, that's sort of an underlying premise of AI
in general,
which is that the more input, the more data, the more it can learn and develop and adapt. And so that's sort of the beauty of this. No different than if you're using any LLM, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, over time, as you continuously use it, ask it questions and upload information and data, it will start to understand patterns and pull out those patterns and start to synthesize them. And that's how it's able to give you better recommendations. And so it's the same thing with the platform here. And the beauty of that is that will, over time, help agents be able to identify the ways that they, for themselves, at an individual level, can grow their business. We have always taught general concepts. Hey, you should do these 3 things if you want to grow your business, or you should do these 3 things when working with sellers or buyers. But imagine if those things were customized to you. Right now, there are agents who are using AI Assistant. I know of one agent who said, I just went in, an agent, Megan, who's at Compass, and it was the end of the day, she had a free 15 minutes because she was supposed to get on a call, and I think the call was pushed. And so she just went into AI Assistant and said, hey, I have some extra time. What are some things I could do for my business right now? I have 15 minutes. And it came back, I was like, you should do this, and this. We just think about that, how powerful that concept is. And over time, it'll learn your marketing nuances. When it helps you create marketing collateral, it'll know your voice. It'll know the kinds of photography you like, the kinds of design elements you like. And just over time, that's going to get stronger and stronger. And it's not going to replace what you do. It's going to enhance the experience so that what you do is better. And the way you get there is with a lot less wasted time and anxiety and worrying, right? If it can help you get from point A to B much faster, then you're going to be able to use that momentum to go out and create a better experience for your clients and do more. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, agents that are like the agents at our companies, those that are fully committed, sophisticated, professional. I think they're going to take AI and look to elevate what they do. There might be some who use AI as sort of a crutch to do less, but I don't see consumers and clients wanting less. I think they're going to want
I
more.
agree. I think we're in a world like, look, I started selling real estate 22 years ago. No, 25 years ago. Wow. And what we did 25 years ago compared to what is expected now, it's so much faster. Technology is so much more integrated into it. The experience that a buyer and seller wants is, the expectation is so much higher. And so you have to figure out, how am I going to be able to get more done in less amount of time? And I love all that you're saying, because I think one of the biggest fears just in general out there is that AI is going to take jobs away, or it's going to replace the agent. And I think both you and I are on the same page that I think that is the furthest thing. But I do think what it's going to do is it's going to create a divide opportunity for the agents who lean into AI and really use it, and those who are left behind and are afraid or don't use it.
You're absolutely right there. Absolutely right.
That's what we're going to be seeing.
I love the way you phrased it. Like, think about the way in which real estate was sold and the expectations of an agent 25 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, right? Today, clients aren't saying, great, do less for me. Right?
No, they're not.
They're
not.
And they're also not saying, you know what, do less for me, and I want you to do less, and I want to work with you less because I have technology. There's the internet, there's email, there's social media. There are these tools out there. No one is saying that. In fact, they're saying the opposite. There's so much to navigate. Help me. What do I do? In fact, you could argue that 25 years ago, clients probably had more of a likelihood of saying, well, if we're doing things with this much variability because the internet and these things aren't as important yet, then help me understand your value. Today, think about how many different things go into buying and selling and how vast it is. The job of the agent is so much about that, is helping you to navigate that as a client. And so I think you're absolutely right. There will be people who opt for less experience and less quality at a lower cost. That exists today. So there are people that you can hire to sell your home for very little, and they provide very little. There's also a concept of a FSBO. You can sell your home on your own. The reason that the overwhelming majority of sellers and buyers choose to work with fully committed, experienced agents, right, is because they value that experience. And so I don't see how AI is going to reduce the desire of a consumer to want a great experience.
Yes.
Right?
I agree. And it's a pretty big asset to make such a big mistake on for most people,
Well,
so
it's funny on the mistake part. I find myself when I'm messing around with things, and I'll pick up on, like calculations or things that are different. And I'm like, ooh, wait, hold on. And then it'll say, got it. You're right. And look, if I'm just messing around and asking you questions, that's no big deal. But to your point, when you're doing a transaction that is hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, where there's no redo. When you close, when you go to a closing and the closing's final,
you're pretty committed at that point.
You're committed. Like, you own what you bought. You can't decide, you know what? I didn't
moving truck with all your belongings is sitting outside,
it's like, you can't be like, hold on, turn around. We gotta rewind, or sorry, this piece of paper was filled out incorrectly. So those things all have to be factored into it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because we are rolling a home platform out. It's unprecedented how many agents are now going to have this one integrated system. And I think that there could be some reaction of, well, then how do I differentiate myself now? And I think you alluded to it a little bit earlier, which is, being able to use this system to actually create differentiation. But, what other potential advantages do you see with us having this much scale with so many agents on this one platform?
Yeah, I've gotten this question a bunch, and I sort of always share with agents that don't think about technology as your sole advantage. And now that others are using the same technology, that you lost that advantage.
Yes, I love that. Thank you.
That advantage, it does exist, but it only exists for a very short period of time at the very beginning of new technologies at their early development stages. What I mean is, there was a period in time where if you had an iPhone in 2007 when it first came out, in 2008, where you were seen as different and cool and tech savvy and forward. There was a time where if you were using email and others weren't, you were seen as that. But those technologies were not even as good as they are today then, right? Email is only as good as the number of people who are actually using it, right? The iPhone, the first generation of the iPhone was special and cool and interesting, but it was nothing like it was 5, 10 years ago, let alone today.
Right.
And so what happened was these technologies became ubiquitous. They got really good and lots of people wanted to use them. And then the advantage is not necessarily having it or not, the advantage is how you use it.
That's exciting. I mean, look, we're excited. I think there's a lot of nerves too, because it's a big transition this fall, but I think there is going to be a lot of opportunity. Our agents are going to be pretty excited. Once they get on and once they're sort of past, I think, the initial learning curve, and they can feel like they're really operating something and can, continue their businesses moving forward. So fingers crossed, wish us luck, Rory, this fall, but I think we're going to do well.
I don't even need to wish you luck because you guys are going to be amazing. I'm not.
We've been working pretty hard to be ready for this.
I was going
I'll
to
tell
say,
you that.
it really, and it is a thing, work in equals work out on this. It is physics. For the agents listening, your company and the team has put in months of work to this. So I think that sheer amount of upfront focus is going to translate to making this relatively smooth.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. All right, Rory, you know that there's the fun side of this podcast. While I've enjoyed talking all things Compass and all things home platform, let's do a little rapid fire. It's called Rory on the Record. You ready?
I love that.
All right, so I hear you play a pretty mean guitar. I'm a little later in life, and I've been thinking I need to take up an instrument. And my daughters laughed when I said I thought I wanted to play guitar. But
No, wait, that's not fair. You should don't let them make fun of you. You should absolutely take it up.
I could be in a mom band.
Yeah,
I think I have it in me. Come on.
What I just said, 20 minutes a day for X number of weeks, and you just take 20 minutes a day.
Can I just go and learn it? Can AI teach me how to play the guitar?
Actually, it's interesting. It certainly can. So
we'll see about that. Give me a year, and we'll talk again and see where I'm at. But if you could play lead guitar in one band, any era, which one would it be?
Wow. I'd say there's probably two.
Okay.
Maybe two. Led Zeppelin, because Zeppelin was the reason I started playing guitar. My older cousin bought me Zeppelin 1, and I put that album on, and I'll never forget when I first heard Dazed and Confused, the sounds that Jimmy Page created from his guitar. I didn't know at the time he was using a violin bow to do that. It was almost like I've never heard anything like this. And I listened to that album nonstop, and I was like, I want to be able to create those sounds. I want to be able to do that. So Led Zeppelin, or I'm actually a huge Leonard Skinner fan. I think they are. I think you have to rate them a top 3 American rock band of all time. Now, when I say that, everyone starts naming all these bands, and then I explain to them those are all British bands. So again, American rock band. You've got the Eagles, Skinner, Pearl Jam.
Oh, Pearl Jam.
Amazing, but I think you got to put them up there. So I'd say, because they had 3 lead guitar players, so the harmonies they created were incredible. So Zeppelin or Skinner.
Very cool. All right. Well, I'm coming. When you're playing, I'm coming.
I will make sure that everyone knows so they can come sing.
I love it. Give me a year and I could be your backup.
Yeah, I was going to say then we could jam together. That's the goal.
Yeah. All right. So in a similar vein, I know that you also love to golf. Like you have all this time in the world to golf. I mean, that's a commitment.
It's funny. If you were to chart my handicap and compass. Oh,
yeah,
it's this incredible inverse relationship where as my time at Compass has progressed, my handicap has gotten considerably worse.
Oh man. All right. Well, so this might be interesting what your answer is then, depending. But what would be your dream foursome, given that you have a great handicap, maybe?
Okay. Well, I could still play. I still got some game. Dream foursome. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I have to say Rory McIlroy.
Okay.
Because he's my favorite golfer. We share the same name.
I share the same birthday as Rory.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. All right, so
maybe not the same year, but same.
So, all right, let's say Rory McIlroy. Then let's put. I don't know that he was ever a golfer, but he's my favorite all-around musician, Prince. So.
Cool.
he probably could play golf because he's probably, he could do anything.
Man of many talents.
Yeah,
yes.
he could do anything. Um, and my mom.
Oh, has she golfed before?
So my mom was actually one of the reasons I got into golf. She's no longer with us, and so golf for me it's a thing I always think about with her. And she was very competitive, and she was actually very hard on me. If I ever played with her and hit a bad shot, she'd actually give me a hard time, and be like, "Come on, you take all these lessons. What are you doing?" But she was actually the person I really, when I was younger, golfed with more so than anyone. So and talk about a funny foursome, like coming up 18 to finish the round. There's me,
Yes.
Rory McIlroy, Prince, and my mom. That would be a good group. So
That's a good view. I like that. I love that. That's so great. All right. So I know that meditation, rumor has it anyway, that meditation is part of your routine.
yep.
Have you ever tried to get Robert to meditate?
Oh my goodness.
And what would be his mantra?
All right. Well, we already know his mantra would be seller choice. Like that's that the mantra is easy. That's
Three-phase marketing.
yeah.
Choices,
Seller choice. That's easy. I've never even tried to get him to do it because I don't think I think it just I don't
Could he
think
slow down long enough? Could he be still long enough?
that's the interesting question. Now, I actually think if he were to meditate, I think it'd unlock another superpower for him. I mean, he's already incredibly creative and sort of comes up with these amazing ideas.
Rory, maybe we should be careful because if he
I
hears
know, so I
this,
was
he's
just
going
gonna
to
s-
meditate,
I was
and then
just
there's
gonna
going to be a
say,
whole new initiative. in
Even
2
though
weeks.
the whole purpose is to not think about work and to just lock in and get incredibly present with yourself and kind of get into a space of nothingness, I think he'd come out of these meditative moments and be like, all right, new idea, we're doing this, doing that, and it would probably drive everyone crazy. But no, I've never gotten him to do that. I've also never been able to get him on the golf course.
Okay.
So these are all things we'll put in the bucket for, maybe later in life we get him to meditate and play a little golf.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. I love this vision ahead. All right, early days of Compass. One funny moment that defined the startup nature of the business. It's got to be one.
Oh, there are a lot.
Like
all right,
late night, all-nighters,
yeah,
eating McDonald's.
A lot of that, a lot of red-eye flights, late nights, trying to just build the plane as you're flying, especially the early days where we really didn't know much about what was going on. I'll give you, here's a good one. All right, so I came in and met with Robert and the initial team for my first interview. And someone who I was supposed to meet with wasn't there, so I came back 2 days later to meet with them. And I'm sitting in the conference room in one of our first offices. It's a tiny office. I'm sitting in this conference room, and all of a sudden, Leonard Steinberg comes in to the conference room. And for those of you who read Leonard's email and know Leonard, he's one of the most eloquent, impressive people to meet. So he comes in, and he starts telling me about how incredible, at the time we were Urban Compass, we weren't even Compass yet, how amazing the company is and all the great things they're going to do. And I could tell he was selling me hard on the company, on the role. And so I was sort of listening, and I went home that night and I was thinking to myself, and I was, telling my, then girlfriend, now wife, I'm like, I really think they really want me because they sent in Leonard. He was clearly a close interview. Like, I know what those look like. He was in there really trying to close me. This is a really good sign. And it makes me, feel good that they really want me. So I end up getting the offer. I join a few days later and hit the ground running. A couple months later, I'm sitting in a meeting with our team, and we're starting to really ramp up hiring and talk about we need to hire people faster. The company's growing. We need more people. And someone said, yeah, we have to get a better process for how we interview people and get the right people down so that we have the right people meeting with the right candidates and the right interview loops. Mm-hmm. And then someone says, oh, yeah, it's kind of a mess. I mean, there was a situation a couple of months ago where Leonard thought he was going in to meet with an agent that we were trying to recruit to the company. It turned out to be some candidate. So he goes into the room. It's the wrong person, and he spends 15 minutes selling this person, and the person just listened and didn't really ask any questions about anything. And clearly that was a big waste of time.
And you're like, that was me.
And I'm literally sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, that was me. And I'm like thinking to myself, wait, but I thought they really wanted me. I thought they sent him in as the closer.
Yeah.
Turns out
You didn't know where the hell he was or what he was
he
supposed to be
thought
doing.
I was an agent trying to come to the company. Yeah, so the bubble was burst for me. But it was like a classic moment of just the early days where we were just, and the best part,
Winging it.
I don't think Leonard thought anything different. I think he just came in, did his thing, and kept going.
And
So,
out he went, because that's what he
out
does.
he went. So
you
yeah,
know?
we him and I joke about that now often.
Oh my God, so great. All right, last question, because I
Yeah.
do want to know this. I know you've got little kiddos,
Yep.
so fun. What children TV shows that they watch are you secretly into?
All right, so there's a series on Netflix called Pup Academy.
Oh, gosh.
And it's real life. It's not a cartoon. I don't like cartoons. I've never liked cartoons. I don't get the whole cartoon thing, especially like adults watching cartoons. So it's a live action real show, and it's
About
based.
puppies?
It's puppies. It's Pup Academy. So it's puppies and dogs that go to a prep school, and they're real dogs, but they just superimpose them speaking English and talking. And there's humans as characters in it, and it's super cute. My oldest daughter, Archer, who's 6 now, when she was like 2 and 3, would watch it. And I'd sit there, and most of the shows that she would watch, I'd get pretty bored with.
Yeah.
I actually found myself really just happy and calm when I watched this show. It was
You
almost
put her
like
to bed, and then you would continue
I was.
watching
It
it
was
after
like
she was
anytime I
gone?
watched it, it was like meditation. I just felt good. And so my 7-month-old, she's a little young, but I'm trying to get now her geared up so we can get back into Pup Academy. But highly recommend it.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank God you dodged Barney. I did as well. That purple dinosaur. I was like, oh my gosh, did you ever hear about that a long time ago? Ooh, that was just after, like, just before I had started having kids. Was this Barney? Oh,
Barney
yeah.
was Barney, and don't forget Bebop and all the other characters. I was on the tail end of that, but I
Okay,
remember it.
okay.
Yeah, we've
Yes.
come a long way since then.
Yes, yes. Pup Academy. I might try that with my teenagers. We'll see how it goes.
They might be a little bit of a stretch for them, but yeah, that's my favorite. So
Yeah. Right now we're watching Summer House. God help us.
I might actually prefer the cartoons.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, Rory, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a great conversation. I love talking to you about Home Platform, the early days of Compass, and we've just loved the opportunity of working with you all, and we're looking forward to great things to come.
Likewise. Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited for this rollout. It's going to be awesome, and I couldn't look forward to it more than I already am. I wish it was here today. And obviously, if anyone ever needs anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. The more feedback we get, the more input we get from people, the better. The feedback's a gift, so please don't hesitate to share it.
We love it. All right. I'll keep you on 911. We're going to
Yep.
need it in a couple weeks.
All right, good stuff. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Rory. I appreciate it. Have a good one.